Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
Good morning, happy Tuesday, and has everybody got their nuts ready to show me? This is my favorite part of the week. I'm awake, I'm on the right side of the dirt, and I got nuts around me. So let's jump back in to our subject from this month. Today we are going to talk and we're diving deep today. So we're taking the subject of integrity and we're diving deeper into it today. We're taking the deep dive because we're going to talk about practical ways to live with integrity, but we're also going to kind of talk about the hard part because the title, if you notice, of today's show is Are You All In? And it has so many different layered meanings. And I have a guest that's waiting for me backstage that we've talked about this concept more than once over the last couple of months, and it impacts so many things. It's, are you all in as an individual? Are you all in when it comes to relationships one-on-one? Are you all in when it comes to relationships with a group of people that you are friends with? What about a group of people that you're working on a project with? What about, are you all in for society and from the ethics standpoint? And to me, in a way, that question, it, to an extent, it embodies the idea of integrity because it has you question your place in things, and and your responsibility. Are you willing to be all in, and what does all in mean to you? What does all in mean to you for yourself? It makes you look at responsibilities. It makes you look at choices and consequences. It makes you look at boundaries. It makes you look at, are you maintaining your boundaries? Are you maintaining other boundaries for others? Are you maintaining kindness for others? It looks at so many things. So I'm really excited today to delve into that, what seems like a simple question. On the outset, it does seem simple. Are you all in? But underneath that, there's a lot to unpack. So living with integrity means making choices that reflect our true self, our soul's purpose. And so in order to reflect your true self, you have to know your true self. So there's a journey involved there, from just thinking I'm going to live in integrity to, well, what does that mean to me? What does being within my own integrity mean to me? And how does that impact others? So one of the other things I do kind of at the beginning of the shows is an energy check. So let's do an energy check now. There's not very many people in the audience, but if you're watching this on the replay, definitely kick back in and tag me if you can. On a scale of 1 to 10, how aligned do you feel with your values? Now, that's presupposing you have done some kind of values check with yourself and defined what your values are. And by values, I mean, what are the things that are really important to you? And we all have, we all hopefully can, sit there and list a large number of things. Some of the things that are important to me is family, live music, uh, being able to create, being able to spend time doing things I love. Integrity itself is an incredibly high value to me. Being respectful, but knowing myself, respectful to self and others, I think is important. Doing no harm is another one that's like really big for me is intent having the intention to do no harm to another being, plant, animal, person, um, the intention to do no harm. Now, does that mean I've never harmed anybody? Oh, BS. If somebody can say, "Oh, I intend to do no harm," and I never have, then you're speaking as an adult as if you were a baby, because we have all harmed someone else with or without intention. And saying that you haven't is not really being reflective on your life and understanding that you've done something to harm someone whether you intended to or not. Now, that doesn't mean that you did it with malice or that you did it because you wanted the person to be harmed. It means that one of your actions has harmed another individual. That's what I mean by that. So, and then what do you do with that when you harm someone? What happens when you harm someone? So, I'm going to hit the comments up now. I've got Ollie's in the house with hugs. Sang's on there on the Happy Tuesday. And of course, Ollie's bringing the nuts. And Jessica's, let's get nutty. I am going to have to come up with a really good kind of like morning tagline. Sang's taking notes for me. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel aligned with your values? And Ollie says a 7.6. Jessica says 8. And that's, I love the fact that you put, and that's what you say where you're at today, because I think our alignment with our values bobs and weaves as it should, because we're not always aligned where we want to be on any given day. Some days we're like way whacked off of our alignment, and that's when we might hurt somebody, because our alignment is that we don't hurt someone. And when we're out of alignment, we may, be like trying to think of a good, I was thinking of a bumper car that's out of control, when we're out of alignment. Sang Sands is at this moment, she's an 8-ish. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna probably like go along with the crowd and say I'm right around that 7 and 8 category. I'll give myself an 8. Also, Joanne agrees that alignment is fluid. I think alignment is not only fluid in the general. I think there's some portions of our life where we are way more aligned than others, because we're maybe diving deep into understanding ourselves during some portions of our life than others. And maybe I think usually when there's less stress, that you're able to look at, are you aligned, and look at what your values are. Thank you for watching, Joanne. Appreciate you being here. So today's topic, in the question of, are you all in? I am going to bring up those of you who might know this person as Beach Squirrel. We're going to bring up the reason I'm here, the reason I'm on the Breakthrough Show Network. Welcome to the stage, Miss Jessica.
Good morning.
Founder of the Breakthrough Show Network and the speaker of the quote that started the show today. Are you? So I'm going to ask you this morning, are you all in, Jessica?
Am I all in? I'm all in for the show today. Absolutely. I'm here. I'm doing it. I'm very
I love how you
cautious about what I'm all in about.
Yeah, I love how you specify. And I think that's important. It's like, wait a minute. I don't know. What am I all in about today? Because I'm not sure if I'm all in about everything.
Yeah, I am a person, and I'm sure this will come up during conversation today, that it is very important for me to compartmentalize in my life, because whether we're talking about relationships or different, areas that we serve in our lives, or just anything, I really think it's important to look at everything individually and determine our alignment with each thing by itself.
And actually, that kind of sounds like another show topic in a way of, do you compartmentalize, or how much do you have to look at overarching and how things are interconnected and interwoven?
Yep.
And because I think both are incredibly valuable.
Yep.
I think compartmentalizing is important ways to look at different things, but also looking at things from the whole and how things are interconnected, both internally in ourselves and how we're connected to others.
Right.
It's
all important. Yeah. I mean, it goes together. And I think, again, if we're looking at things from an individual standpoint, or really compartmentalize, which is ironic to compartmentalize about compartmentalizing. But, there was a period of time in my life where it served me better at that period of time to look at the way that things intertwine. And that was a big lesson in that. And then now I'm in this point where it is serving me really well to compartmentalize. And that doesn't mean that I've forgotten about how things intertwine, because that lesson has been learned, and got it. We're good. Now we're moving on to let's put things in their boxes and then go, oh, okay, I see how all the boxes are still next to each other. They're still touching, but it's important that they're in their boxes.
And it's funny that you bring up the boxes like that, because when people ask me about the squirrels, I don't know why people ask me about squirrels all the time. Something about that title, Squirrel Wrangler. And many people, the first thing they think of when they think of Squirrel Wrangler, the first thing they think of is that I do ADHD work. And yes, that is a piece, but the Squirrel Wrangler was actually born out of the idea of productivity and getting more things done. Which of course, that is connected to ADHD, but it came from the idea that many people, when they think of squirrels running around and things, that you should just get rid of the squirrels. And I vehemently disagree.
Yeah.
To me, we need the squirrels. The squirrels take care of our productivity or our creativity. They store our, ideas for the future. They store our energy and food for the winter. They do all sorts of things. And if you get rid of them, you're abdicating your creativity. And so to me, it's like, no, you want to cage the little bastards until you need them. In other words, compartmentalize them into their little cages until you need them, because they are important to have.
Yeah.
So, and we each cage them differently. That's the other thing, is there's not just one way to cage or to wrangle a squirrel. There are many ways to wrangle squirrels, and each one of us individually has different ways of doing that. And so that's how the Squirrel Wrangler was born. But I love how the idea of compartmentalizing that you brought up is, yes, the squirrels are all connected and they want to play together, but you also have to cage the little suckers until you need them.
Right. Well, and this is a fantastic analogy. It just came to me. Ladies out in the audience. So have you ever tried to put makeup on in the car while the car is going and the mirror is bouncing all over the place, right? Like you can't, you can poke your eye out. My husband has gotten to where if he catches me I started putting makeup on, and he will pull over and he'll be like, I'm not going to be responsible for your eyeball coming out of your head. I'm not doing it. He will pull over and sit there until I'm done. And I'm like, I got this. I got 44 years of this. I'm good. And he's like, no, I'm going to stop. My point is that squirrels, all of these little things can be a fantastic mirror. But if they're bouncing all over the place and you haven't put them in a spot for a minute, it's very difficult to see the power that they have to be that mirror for you.
Yeah.
And so they're bouncing out. So you got to put them in a.
And I would actually take that a little bit further and say they are a mirror when they're bouncing. And they are a mirror when you stop and get them all sorted and then take them on one-on-one or in small groupings.
Yeah.
So they're a mirror at both periods of time, and they can teach you things at different times too.
Right.
And I think I love I'm visualizing a squirrel in a car.
Yeah.
Putting makeup on.
That should be a video.
That it should, and with AI, it's entirely possible.
You can make it happen.
The idea came from the squirrels bouncing around in Stacy's head, coming together and forming this idea. So I've gone from the squirrels everywhere to the compartmentalizing, and then I'm taking it the step further and knowing which packages, how to bring the packages back together after you've compartmentalized them. I think that's part of where I'm at in my journey. And both where you're at and what you do with your squirrels, even the one you were playing with a minute ago, and where I'm at and what I do with my squirrels, both within integrity of ourselves.
Right.
Neither of us is wrong, and both of us are right, which is really good because we needed to both be right. But
well, it fulfills a human need that we have.
It fulfills the human need to be accurate, or not accurate, but in the right spot for us.
Just right. I mean, we that's what we want as humans, to be right. I mean, look at everything you do in your life, everything. I mean, we just, even if we consciously go, okay, no, I don't need to be right. BS. It's a human thing. It's a construct. It's a belief. It's a thing. We all have it, even if you don't think you do. So
absolutely.
I said what I said.
With your full chest, you did. And with your integrity.
Yes.
And you would not have said it if you weren't all in this morning.
I'm all in.
So let's dive back down. Let's dive into that squirrel nest. What does "are you all in" mean to Jessica Dugas?
Well, okay. So I'm gonna be very vulnerable here this morning, and share that I have always been a super excited person with 9 million ideas, excited about life, excited about connection, excited about possibilities, excited about new ideas. And the squirrels have always been very real for me. So
this one.
Yeah. And so I think I had quite a wake-up call when I realized that I would often, and I still fight this sometimes if I'm being real raw and honest here today, where I get really excited about something and I tell the people, I'm like, this is what's going to happen, because I'm so excited and it's amazing and it's so wonderful. And then life happens. Like it's shared in an idea. Then life happens, or even just not even always life. Sometimes it was a great idea when it was first there, and then it's not anymore. And I'm not excited about it. And so then it doesn't happen. But I had a really good friend of mine who this is a perfect example. In my authenticity today, which I also want to mention here coming up in a minute. But at a friend of mine who was getting married, and this was years and years ago now. And I wanted to get her something that was meaningful because I had already said that I would be there for sure for her wedding, but then something came up and I could not actually be there. So that was kick one.
Gut wrenching.
You don't promise to be somewhere that that you're not sure if you can. And then so I wanted to get her something. So I said that I had gotten her something. I had not gotten her something yet, but I said I had gotten her something because I knew I was going to get it, right? Like it's going to be great and wonderful. So then I ended up getting her the thing later. And then literally I am not making this up. We got the thing in the mail. I took it out of the box. I'm getting literally going to the store to get stuff to wrap it so I can ship it and all of that. And swear to God, my dog chewed it the whole, like tore it to bits. And I was not in the position at the time to buy a new one because that was where I was at the time. But here I was, I had promised to be there. Now I effed that up. I had promised that I had gotten her this thing and then that went, bye-bye. And it bothers me to this day that things like that will happen with me where I would get excited about something, promise it, and then not be able to follow through, whether it's sometimes my fault, sometimes not.
We make a plan. The universe says, here, hold my bear.
Right.
Yeah.
So I realized that it became important to me to be all in on something, to be a person of your word. When you say you're going to do something, you do something. You just do it, period. And also some of that has to do with discernment beforehand, of what you say, who you say it to, what you're promising, there's so many different layers of this, but it was instances like that where I had to kick my own behind and say, if one of your values is walking your talk and you are not walking your talk, then you are not in integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my own crap that put me into this space where I am as outspoken as I am about walking your talk, being all in your life. And that means all in for me means that you are absolutely doing your best. That's it. And when you join a community, a club, a board, a workshop, you're either in or you're not. You're either going to show up or you're not. And
no half-ass.
No, we do things with our whole asses here.
I mean, yeah, because which side are you going to pick, right or left? It really, yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of different layers to this idea of being all in, and especially, and I know you want to talk about this eventually today, but with when you get to the point where you realize that you might not be able to be all in and what that looks like, there's a lot of considerations there. And it's very timely for me. I'll just say that it's very timely.
Right. Yeah. Well, and at the point that you realize you can no longer be all in something that you once were truly all in, it doesn't mean that you weren't all in at the previous time.
Right.
It means that things have morphed and changed and moved. Like we were talking about, that whole being in alignment with your values, that morphs and changes and sometimes it feels like you're in an amusement park all the way around. Which is kind of funny that Alice has an amusement park, but that's a story for another show. It feels like life and entrepreneurship both feel like amusement parks. You've got the roller coaster ride of being really, really high up and then zooming back down into the hills, but the zooming down into the hills the momentum puts you up to the next hill. And that's kind of like the knowing of the life's ups and life's downs. You
Yeah.
don't know what the downs feel like, or you don't know what the ups feel like unless you've been to the down.
Right.
And, that kind of is like the show with Dr. Etta Jackson, where we were talking about contrast. You don't know what up feels like unless you've been to down. And,
Mhm.
and then you've got the bumper cars, like we're talking of, like, are your values and things bumping off of each other, um, in a good way or not? And then you've
Mhm.
got, I'm not sure what the, you're on with integrity, and you are in the sense of saying, I'm all in with something, but then later you realize you can't be all in. I'm not
Mm.
sure which ride that is, but we need to figure that out.
Well, so I want to say this, but because I think this is really important to the conversation of integrity, and that's addressing this word that is like become one of those buzzwords, and that's authenticity.
Uh-huh.
And the reason why I want to mention this is because for me, I feel like there's a sort of misunderstanding about what authenticity is truly. And because, okay, so I'm going to get homeschool mom on you guys really quick here. Okay.
Woohoo!
The word authentic means not false or copied, genuine, real. Okay. So if I decide right now to put a mask on my face, like one of those, like, I don't know, like one of those old 1980s plastic Halloween masks we couldn't breathe in. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I am now a Care Bear sitting here right in front of you. Me with the Care Bear mask on is still me being authentic,
Mm-hmm.
even though I'm pretending to be a Care Bear. It's still me being who I am. I'm still being real. Even if you sit here and you pretend, if I was to switch seats and I came into the studio a little bit earlier today, if I were to sit in Stacy's seat and pretend to be Stacy, that's still me being authentic. Why? Because I'm still choosing, like, I'm still showing who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Me in that moment of being real and genuine is me pretending to be Stacy.
Yeah.
It's there. So there's this misunderstanding that we talk about the masks that we wear and the roles that we play, that those things are somehow not being authentic. That's not true.
Right.
And so then when we scoot into this word integrity and we say that it's the so going to that definition, soundness of character, ethical principles, all those things. We hear people say that being authentic is being true to their authenticity or true to who they are. So it just doesn't, when you misunderstand authenticity, integrity gets a little confusing.
Oh, it gets very confusing because that comes to the ethics. So I think there are ways to be inauthentic. Like if you were trying to be something that you didn't want to be, so if you were portraying yourself in a way that you don't ever, like, your true self doesn't want, to me, that's inauthentic.
Well, and this is where I would push back a little bit, because I think of that fault starts to fall more into integrity. So my question would be, is it important to you to be, let's say, use my same example. Is it important to Jessica to always be Jessica and not be pretending to be someone else like Stacy? So if in the same example, I had come in and I had sat in your seat and pretended to be you, but I said, in order for me to be in integrity, I need to be me and nobody else, I would be out of integrity by trying to be you. If one of my core values and principles is not, being Jessica and not being Stacy, then I'm still technically in integrity because and being authentic, because that's not one of my core values.
Well, and so would you then posit that it's clearer to describe being in integrity or out of integrity as a core value than it might be to try and describe being authentic or being inauthentic as a value.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we have to look at what our values are in order to be able to determine whether we are being in integrity or not. And that brings up another part of this, which is that it, we're very quick to point out these days whether or not someone else is in integrity, but we don't know their values. We're very quick to point out whether or not someone's being authentic, but again, if I'm saying that authenticity is simply your being, then we have no call. We have no call to do that.
Right. And I would also add, we also need to understand what their definition, especially what
100%.
their personal definition is of integrity.
Right.
And I've had this discussion several times with family members. It's fascinating that I found out my highest core value is the word integrity. It's why I chose it for this month, because it's my birthday month, and and it's my show, and I decided that to be authentically Stacy.
Because you're in charge.
Because I'm in charge. And because it's also the word integrity and the concept is aligned with the Breakthrough Show Network, I believe. It felt good to have that as something we dive into. But it also is, when I looked at that word with family members and brought the discussion up, it was fascinating to find out we all three, my brother, my mom, and I, defined the word very similarly. It has to do with, to me, integrity has to do with truth, trust, honesty, that concept. It has to do with being authentic, allowing self and others to be authentically them, to be, and I don't think I used the word authentic, but allowing other people to be themselves, allowing yourself to be who you are at that moment. I don't know if I've used the word authentic as often. I certainly don't anymore, especially now that you and I've talked about.
Well, it's become honestly, it's like one of those words that because of I think some of it's probably AI as well, but it's just being so overused right now and not appropriately.
And not used appropriately, right?
Right.
As words get. I sure in the world hope that the word integrity doesn't get that way, because I think that it's a really, really important word.
Yeah.
And to me, I see it, as I said the last couple weeks, my embodiment of the word integrity actually is that quote by Jane Addams about action being the sole medium of the expression of ethics.
Yeah.
And that, integrity is, are you acting what you say you believe?
Right.
As far
100%.
as values and beliefs.
Right.
Are you acting within your ethics? And my ethics tell me I cannot be judgmental to another human being. I have to be respectful of that person's internal representation of the world, even if it differs from mine. I attempt to understand as much as possible what the other person's representation of a situation or the world is. Even if I don't initially understand it, I do my best to figure out where they're coming from.
Right.
There's no way that anyone will ever know, thankfully, what's going on in the squirrel head. Because it's kind of you think the word squirrel and you think squirrel scrambling around everywhere. It's even crazier in there than that.
Yeah, I don't have any doubt.
However, I will also say that there's cages. I mean, the little bastards are caged up there, but they do get to get out and play once in a while. And I think I have come to the realization, and I think that's been one of my best life lessons to date, is truly understanding what the phrase internal representation of the world means. At a core level, not only what my internal representation is, but understanding that they are all different, always will be, and I will never understand Jessica's. We
Mm-hmm.
can talk from now till the cows come home.
Right.
And then the cows and the squirrels are going to be there together, and we're still not going to know what each other's total internal representation
Right.
is.
Well,
But
even if really quick on that, even if we sit here and we get clear on what each of our, like, you could list your values for me and I can list my values for you, and we could say this is what would be acting in integrity for Stacy, this is what's acting in integrity for Jessica. Now, like, let's say for example, one of those values is trust. Well, trust to you and trust to me could be two different things. Love to you and love to me, two different things. So again, it's not even just that word integrity. It's having, committing to having those deep layered conversations with people so we can discover each other's definitions and not jump to conclusions when we see that someone voted differently than us, or loves differently than us, or has a different opinion about certain things. The question is why, and is there a willingness there to discover those things?
And it's also, it is not my place to stop someone else's expression or choices, decisions in their life.
That's the
Because
authenticity.
the only person I am responsible for is in this body. I'm responsible for my choices, and I have consequences of my actions. I have the rights. We have certain human rights, and I'm not talking any government. I'm talking there are rights that humans should have in life, and there are responsibilities. And my responsibility is to respect where my rights stop and Jessica's start. I do not have the right to harm you.
Mm.
That's one of our rights, is that someone else doesn't have the right to harm us. I have a responsibility not to harm.
Even
Other
that word, that word harm, it
Mhm.
means very different things to lots of different
Absolutely.
people. So
Yeah,
there's that too.
which is that you don't always know, and that, because like what I was talking about, you don't always know if you've harmed someone. I
Right.
have, I may hold the value of do no harm, but that doesn't mean that I always know when I have harmed someone. In
Mm.
fact, frequently, you don't know when you have harmed someone else until it is brought forward to you. And that harm, actually, all of life is, we each make meaning of a situation ourselves. And absence of additional information, we are going to make meaning and stories over any situation. And we may make a story up about why someone did something that harmed us that's not necessarily even their truth or their intention.
Yep.
And so I think it comes back to something I'm trying to think of which show it was. I want to say it was with Sang and I last week when we were talking about lack of communication. When there's not communication, then there's your brain's going to make up stories.
Right.
Lack of additional information. Your brain's going to make up stories about what the truth is, and
Mm.
you're gonna create your own truth that is not necessarily true to
Right.
all parties involved.
Right.
And so, one, you can harm somebody without realizing it, and even if your intention is not to harm.
Right.
In fact, that happens, but I think the difference comes when you find out you have harmed, what is your next action?
Right. Right.
And to me, that's the, like, super valuable part, is if I find out, and you and I've been down this road. We've been up and down it a couple times. I don't know, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's because of the values we both hold, is
Mm-hmm.
if I find out I've either harmed you or I think I may have harmed you, I've got to check in.
Right.
I have to do a check in, because the last thing I want to do is harm someone I care about. I
Right.
really don't want to harm people I don't care about either, but you
Right.
know, we discuss it in the ways of how we harm people that we care about. I
Well,
don't
and
care
that's
about anyone.
right. And that's why one of my like top values for me that's so important in my life is communication.
Mm,
And in communication within relationships, communication from many different levels. Actually, I know that we're both participating tomorrow in an event about digital innovation,
mhm,
and my talk tomorrow is about heart in the digital space, and
mm.
humanizing the digital space and all of these things. So even for me, where communication is concerned, it's not just talking and then the other part of that listening, but
Wait,
it goes for
they go together?
yes.
Oh,
But
who knew?
I know,
Who
breaking
knew?
news here today only, everybody.
You heard it on Show Me Your Dad.
But
Listening is a part of communication.
there it is. But the other part of it for me is even more layered. Like, how am I communicating things that through other methods than just talking and listening? Like when I'm typing, what emojis am I using? What does my virtual space convey? Like, looking at all of those ways that we communicate with each other without actually communicating. So those are things to me that are really important as well. So that's all tied into that communication value. And so it is very challenging for me to have people in my life that I'm very close to. I will say, like, people are going to be people, but if I'm going to create a close relationship with someone at this point in my life, I need for that person to somehow value communication as well. Like,
Mhm.
because that's such an important part. Because like you said, if that blank space, it all that gives room for, like, when you give somebody the silent treatment, when you don't explain things, or when you choose not to communicate, all that is creating space for people to go down the rabbit hole of anxiety, of making up stories that don't exist. That's how rumors get started. That's how feelings get hurt. And so, how much can be solved if
And
we just
sometimes
went,
it's our
I'm going to
own,
listen?
yeah, it's our own story making and our own feelings that are coming up that actually cause the issue,
Right.
which begs the question, who's actually responsible for the pain? The person who
Right.
said the thing that didn't realize they were going to harm you with it, but that then they didn't say anything else because they didn't know. Is it their fault? Or is it yours for taking that and making meaning out of it and stories without reaching out to communicate?
It's a partnership. it's a
Both ways.
it's
Yeah,
both people. And it's interesting. So we have an episode of Beyond 2D coming up tomorrow night, and we
it's
explore
tonight.
words and or tonight. Yes, tonight.
It's
I'm
tonight.
having a moment here.
That's
Tonight
okay.
at 6 o'clock. But we explore words on that show a lot, and really give, like, we will have a whole, the usually the first episode of each mini series. So we'll do like 4 episodes that it compiles one topic. That first episode, all we do is look at the textbook definition of the words we're exploring and give each other the space to go, okay, what does this word mean to you? And so we had a 4-part series about integrity, by
Mhm.
the way, back, I think it was season 2. And we also had a 4-part series about communication. And it was very eye opening, because the way, like, just the way that we all interpret those things is such an experience. And we wouldn't know that if we didn't take the time to sit and do those things. And that's part of the challenge for me in today's world. It is really hard for me to stay out of judgment with how many people are simply unwilling to have a conversation. They believe what they believe, and then they're done. And then that's it. There's no
Well,
room to talk.
and I wonder sometimes, is it, I do agree that there are people who, like, they're just, that's what they believe, and they don't want to talk about it. Or at sometimes is it they're either afraid to talk about it, or they don't know how to talk about it.
Mm.
They don't know
Yeah.
how, because the art of, and when I say communicate, it's what you and I are doing right now, verbally seeing each other's faces, seeing each other's nonverbals, because I'm the first one to like text something. I mean, I'm going to send a text and whatever and things, but to expect a text message to be the full range of communication is a show in and of itself, number one, but
Yeah.
it's frequently a mistake
Yeah.
to think that that typing words is going to convey your whole message.
I hope you guys will come to the event tomorrow, because I touch on all of this in my talk.
And my
So.
suspicion is you're also going to touch on how to be fully communicative and visible the following week in the other workshop that we're both doing.
Yes.
We're doing a lot together.
We're doing a lot together right now.
And that's frequently because I really appreciate, I think when so I'm gonna tell on myself is when Jessica and I first met, we kind of like, I don't think we butted heads, but I was hesitant, like, am I gonna be a good fit for this person? Right? Or do we have beliefs that are so far apart from each other or not? You know, just as you do when you don't know somebody. And I think we've had so many conversations about, like, it doesn't even matter if our views are apart from each other.
Yeah.
Our core pieces of, when you say you're going to do something, you do it. When you say you're going to, do a task, you finish it. When you have questions about it, you ask each other questions, you communicate about it. And we've had, of course, I think, had to learn each other, learn the communications. And I know there've been times where I was like, oh, did I hurt her? Did I whatever? Or times where I was like, dang it, I told you this, or whatever. Maybe. But I think that's also part of what we do as humans is we have to give ourselves and each other grace when we're learning what that dance is with the other person.
And you still, one of the things that I really is it's a top, value for me, is to be willing to continue to learn each other, even if we feel like we've learned each other. Like, like, that's so important to me in relationships. Like, I had an instance where, so Danielle, that is one of my co-hosts for Project Joy, she's officially known me the longest out of everybody. We went to like kindergarten together. Like, we've known each other that long, since we were babies. And so we had that whole school time together. When we reconnected in 2022, when I moved back here to Connecticut, we had the most beautiful conversation where we discovered that we didn't like each other in school. And why didn't we like each other in school? Because Danielle is self-admittedly, by the way, she has an RBF. She's a little more closed off, perhaps, than I am, when it comes to, like, I actually am a little bit jealous that she can at times, like, just put her whole opinion out there and not give a shit. Like, not she doesn't care.
Right?
Like, love that for her. Okay.
Has the RBF, like,
I'm telling you, like, it's so good. So, and then she didn't like me because she thought that I was kind of stuck up, which I was always sort of, if we still did the thing where we gave teachers apples, I would be shining the teachers out. Like, that's just what I would have done. And I always got picked for the solos, and she was mad that I didn't, she couldn't sing like I could sing, and all. So there was all of these things that we had. This was the most fun, beautiful conversation of, like, we did not like each other, but now, like, we had all this period of time apart, and now we're adults with children, with husbands, and we're having these, we go out and have a great time together, but there's still those moments where I will feel like Shit, I said the wrong thing. I'll catch it and I'll know like that she means so much to me at this space in my life. So it's not about like the need to walk on eggshells as it is to like you're talking about, I don't want to harm this person. So I am going to be mindful about saying things that I know will be harmful for her, and I catch myself and I'm like, shit, won't do that again.
Yeah. And as you're talking, it reminds me of, I'm, going back in my mind of, okay, who have I known the longest? And the funny thing is, okay, so there's three of us that, well, there were more than three, but the three of us that hung out together in high school that call each other sisters now. One is literally biologically my cousin, and we've known each other since we were 3. We went to preschool together. And she's a second cousin, so it's not like I knew her from the family otherwise, but so since we were 3, and then our friend, who owns the gluten-free bakery here in town, and we've known her since we were 11.
Mm.
And the 3 of us were like, 3 musketeers when we were in high school. We've got secrets that are going to the grave, that I can't talk about on here.
Yeah.
But
that's an after hours show.
That's not even an after hours show. I'm not allowed. It's just not, it's a rule. But the thing is we had a discussion that was similar. We found out that it wasn't that we didn't like each other, but we both remembered in elementary school, walking around the playground, and we each walked the opposite direction around the playground with our respective other friends. And I think calling each other names when we would pass each other.
Mm.
But then later ended up, running around doing things that we weren't telling anybody about.
Yeah.
And then now still, if she were to call me, I'll be there, don't even tell me what we're doing. I'm on my way. I'll be there. We don't ask questions. We just go. And, but at the same time, I don't talk to her on the regular, and we don't do things together a lot. But last week on my birthday, she was one of the ones, she messaged me like 4 different ways to Sunday to tell me, to make sure that I knew she was thinking of me, happy birthday, and that she loved me. And, she knows that, like, no matter how long it's been since we've talked to each other, if she called me, I'd be there, and vice versa.
Mm.
And I think, even though you've known someone for a length of time, my mother, my brother, my husband, anybody, if you don't still work on the relationship and work on the communication and work on the being in integrity in the relationship, being true, being honest, being you, being loving, being respectful, because all of those things mean integrity to me. All of it, so that's why it's the top word, because it encompasses a bunch of others. It encompasses communication. If you don't do that every day, all the time, and you become stagnant in that relationship, then you might as well not have the relationship to begin with.
Right.
You shouldn't. And I think that's also true with ourselves.
Yeah.
A relationship with self in the constant knowing, learning, growing of who we are. Because me being in alignment with my values and knowing what my values are and being in alignment with them has changed through my life. I think that the top value of calling it integrity has always been that thing. It hasn't maybe always been the word, but it's always been that concept, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's when we stop doing the internal growth that even if we are physically alive, we stop living.
Right.
And maybe there are people out there that are zombies that aren't living because they don't know how, they're scared, or they don't want to be in that growth space.
The Walking Dead was a great show, but it's no way to live, friends.
I'm thinking, see, and so, like, if you guys want to know the, pop culture references, ask Jessica, because Stacy doesn't know. Yeah. Mhm.
Can we, before we run out of time, can we just touch like super quick on the when we decide not to be all in, like super fast?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
We have to. We have to.
Because this is the, like, I have done now a couple different episodes of Project Joy Live where I have been talking specifically about the joy in letting go. And that is something that I have been very real about on the show that is sometimes really super challenging for me because I will hold on for dear life. You know, there's a cartoon and I can't even think of who the cartoon was now, but she would had this animal and she was like, I just want to love you, hug you, and call you George. And she would like hold on to it and it would keep trying to escape, but she didn't care.
I want to say it was Bugs Bunny, but maybe not.
Was it? I don't know, but but that's what I do. Like that cartoon.
George. Yes.
You're like, she's holding on to it and the animal's just trying to get away. And she's just like, no, I want to love you. I want to love you so hard. So that's me for with literally everything. Okay. That's the explanation. So I have been exploring the joy in letting things go lately. And I found myself in a, like, I am about commitment and loyalty. Those are things that are important to me. And to like I said, walk your talk. That's something that's super important to me. So when you say you're going to do something, you do it. So I join a committee or a board or a something and you do it, you follow through. But I recently had to let one of those things go and it was really hard for me. But
the soul out, I believe. My observation of you is that it ripped your soul out for a minute.
Yeah, it was a moment. Because some of our, and I would say I mean between me and the organization, some of our values are the same. Mm-hmm. But one of the things about me is that I have been in this work of content creation and for years now, and it has become an important value for me to be responsible about the information that I am sharing. It is important for me to be truthful about what I'm sharing because I'm sort of an independent journalist in my own ways of how I do some, especially the morning show. I'm touching on a lot of current news and things like that. So it's important for me to be truthful in what, and we know that sometimes, you know, facts change in certain situations. And I feel a responsibility to keep up with that, to share what I know to be true. And when I know something's not true, or when I know something is wishy-washy at best, mm-hmm. I cannot obviously take on the responsibility that other people have to prove things for themselves, but I feel a responsibility to not put information out that is not factual and then say, well, it's on everybody else to determine whether it's factual or not. That's not something that I can do in integrity. And because my responsibility to truth is high on the integrity list for me, and my values, I realized that the situation that I was in, the organization I was involved with, was no longer in alignment, and I could not serve in integrity because our values, our highest values, were not in alignment anymore. And so that is when I feel like you're just in or out. I knew that in that situation, I could be sort of in, but I couldn't be all in anymore. Because our values were not aligned. Our integrity was not. Things that were so important to me, and it was weighing on my physical well-being, was not as important to them. And that's okay. But it's okay for me to not be all in now.
To the point where it was okay with you that the alignment was different. Mm-hmm. That that you had to make, that you, for your own well-being, we're faced with a choice.
Mm.
That, but also the choice could have been to stay, potentially at the detriment of your own well-being.
Right. But if if I'm saying that my values are one of my top values is to be all in or not, and I'm not being all in, I am not in integrity. And so that's when I have to walk away.
Dropping the mics through the floor again, because that's what Jessica does. I adore you beyond words. For so many, beyond words. So like, I mean, we talk about communication, but there I go, beyond words.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's interesting because you just now brought up another thing home to me of, it's not that I'm not all about the facts, because I'm definitely like, yes, there is a place, I have 2 science-backed degrees, right? 2 science-backed graduate degrees. Research and scientific fact is important to me. But I have also come back to my own curiosities that open up the importance of, say, instead of, and the only way I can describe this is, you've got hard physics on your side, and I'm not meaning sides, but what you've just described is hard science-backed physics, where what I also think it's important to look at theoretical. So you've got hard science-backed topic, whatever it is. Then there's also theoretical important things. So there's, and that's where it gets softer and squishier sometimes. But I think it's just as important to talk about the fact that individual humans deserve respect and decency and dignity and various things, the rights to be their individual self, blah, blah, blah. Like when I talk about basic human rights, it's not something that you can quantify and put in a factual statement. It's more squishy. And so I call it seems more like a theoretical question. And so it's interesting when I post things, especially on my personal social media, I may be posting something to engage in discussion of that theoretical side of the importance of basic human rights that can't be quantified and don't have facts behind them. And that doesn't mean that I don't believe in the facts or that I, am purporting anything particular. But it doesn't, I frequently get bashed on that because whatever it is I post may or may not have facts behind it. But what I'm wanting to purport and what I discuss is, hey, this thing's showing X, Y, and Z that may not have fact. And I'm saying, what about the basic human decency of this thing that's not right or that is a good idea or, whatever. And I think people are quick to bash, whether it's fact or not. Not to say that facts aren't important. Okay. Am I making any kind of sense?
Yes, we're kind of down a little, like, at a whirlpool.
It is a whirlpool. It is.
But I get the point of what you're saying. I mean, I had Brian Keating on my show back at the very beginning of 2020, and we all know what was going on about that time. And Brian Keating was nominated for a Nobel Prize, lost the Nobel Prize, and wrote a book about it, and in science. And so I asked this very renowned scientist. I said, is science always settled? Like, is that it, Brian? And he said, absolutely not. Never. Like, always stay curious. And so I think you have, sort of, we could go down the rabbit hole of anything. We could have a hard fact and say, okay, my name starts with the letter J. there's a hard fact for you. But then we could always go down the rabbit hole of going, but who came up with the letters, and is it really, and who says that it's pronounced like that, or spelled, or what looks like that, or what about somebody who has different penmanship? We could rabbit hole anything, truly, but there's always going to be those things of like, okay, did someone get arrested or did they not get arrested? Okay, like is it that or that? Like there's always going to be, and those are the things that I am not willing to budge on and put out as fact if it's not fact.
Well, and I think therein lies the issue. Just because you say something and put it out doesn't mean that you're saying this is fact. And that my point is if I say this is fact and I put it out as fact, then yes, it damn well better be fact.
Right.
But if I put something out and say, let's discuss the theory, and I shouldn't have to put the whole sentence of let's discuss the theoretical foundations of if people should have the ability to, or the dignity to have a safe roof over their head, or if I put up a picture of recently there was this really cool looking like backpack supposedly that, and I didn't fact check the article, but a backpack that was created in Germany that turns into a homeless inflatable little space for them to sleep with solar power, blah, blah, blah. Cool little idea, right? Could solve something for humans that is needed. And just because I post it and describe it as a cool idea doesn't mean I'm saying this is in fact absolutely been created. This is how they're using it. And this is how it should be used. You don't, not everything has to be put out as a fact. It could be put out as a cause for discussion. And maybe that's I'll describe it as this. Maybe that means I'm a shit stirrer.
Well, and that's what,
I'll take that if I am,
if one of my core values is not only being at peace myself, but being let's say a conduit for peace, and I am stirring the shit, I am now not in integrity.
But I will take it for myself if I'm a conduit for, okay, so maybe it's a conduit for something else. Maybe if I'm a conduit for human dignity, and in order for human dignity to happen, I have to stir the pot so that we discuss it, so that we actually come up with things that are good for the human dignity, or we realize what is and what isn't happening toward human dignity. And so personally, I find myself frequently in that spot of, I bring something up and people are quick to say, oh, well, but that's not fact. Well, I'm not bringing it up to say that it's fact. I'm bringing it up to say, it's something we need to discuss. Because it's not fact that people are being given dignity. Right. And so it's kind of this constant battle I have with the social media thing. Before I kind of separated myself from it, because recently I just kind of, I've backed away from a lot of even looking at it, so that I could focus on staying in positivity. I'll just put it that way. But before that, it was like, I could post something and it could be a teddy bear and somebody say, oh, well, that's not a real teddy bear. That's an AI teddy bear. It's like, did I say it was real? I just posted it. That doesn't mean I'm saying that something's real just by, and that's, I think there's rabbit hole on either side. And again, we're back to communication. What is each person's integrity? What is respect for other human beings? And I have tremendous respect for you. I would not have a show here without that. I would not have you on the said show without that. And I wouldn't be working on, I don't know how many projects we're up to at the moment. There's at least 3.
There's so many projects.
Yeah. So you guys, tonight, 2D, 6:00 Eastern. Tomorrow, I can't remember what time tomorrow is. Is it 10 Eastern? tomorrow for
Um,
the digital innovationexperience.com.
yeah. Well, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, I
That's right.
have Project Joy, and Jamie Rich is going to be my special guest for tomorrow. And we're talking about community and leadership. And I'm sure a lot of things having to do with integrity will come up during
I
that
want to know,
conversation.
though, for that show,
Yeah.
ask him if he brought the cookies.
If he, well, I mean, usually I provide cookies in our green room for the people.
Oh,
So,
okay. So he doesn't have to bring his own cookies.
I will take care of the cookies.
You
But
guys, tomorrow morning's show is going to be fantabulous with Jamie Rich and Jessica Dugas, because they're going to take the concept of community and go deep. I absolutely know that I don't know that for a fact. I know that from experience.
That is true, because it could have been your experience before, but we could go off on a tangent. We could decide to just not.
Yeah, I'm not going to call it a fact. I'm going to call it experience, because not everything has to be fact.
That's it.
To be a truth.
Yep.
Not everything has to be a fact in order to be a truth. And think about that. That's really one to think about. Yep. And then the digital innovation experience tomorrow, choose your own adventure.
And that's dropping right between 11 and 3.
It is
Eastern.
Yeah. So you just register at digitalinnovationexperience.com and then drop in when you want and choose your own adventure of how you want to go learn things. It's going to be a really, really cool one. And then I'm going to have to drop the other one we're in is dreammvps.com. We are doing a workshop about mindset, visibility, productivity, and success. And Jessica is bringing it on the visibility part. I'm gonna start us out with mindset. Jessica's gonna bring it on the visibility and go more into the how are you true to your communication and your visibility, like, because communication's not always words. It's also what people see, what they think of when they see that, etc. And help you get ready for your 2026. And in that vein, I'm starting to get ready for Show Me Your Nuts 2026. And I've got some fun stuff coming for the show. So hopefully I'll be able to talk about that in the coming weeks as I figure it out more.
This is my favorite time of year because I love the holidays. I love the space that my brain just sort of automatically, like between September and October, I automatically start shifting into like reflection and processing through things. And then that meshes with like this space of creativity. So it's really, this is my favorite time of year.
Yeah. I love that space too.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're a bear getting ready to go into hibernation. And then after the hibernation, you'll come out in the spring with this new thing that you've dreamed up. Yeah. Which it's not lost on me that we called that Dream MVPs, even with the dreaming, because we can dream our life into existence.
Imagine though, if everybody processes through, takes their dreams that they're having and is clear about their values and chooses to process those dreams through their integrity. Okay, you dream big, but then put it through that filter of like, are these things that I'm dreaming about, how can I implement them in a way that is going to be in integrity with who I am being?
How can I be true to self by putting these out into the world the way Stacy is meant to be in the world?
Yep.
And how can I also in that respect how Jessica is in the world, because I want to be involved in her execution of her pieces, parts, and things, because I think, and to me, I think that's where you have the compartmentalization.
Yeah.
But you also have there's Stacy is one thing, Jessica's another thing, but then you also have the bridging of those things into community is when you go with the respect of what the other person's integrity is. I think that wraps us up in
The squirrel's excited, guys.
Squirrels are all excited. And yeah. Tell me in the comments as we leave, what is your dream, your next dream, and how can you execute it within your own integrity? And we will see you next week. And I am trying to remember right now what our next week's show. We're talking about integrity again, but no, we're not.
No, because we're starting in November.
Okay. Where'd the month go? So actually, we are talking about integrity again.
Oh,
because we're talking about values.
Mm.
So we're sliding from one particular value into what are the values? What are your values? What do values mean? And where do they play a role in your life? How does that play out? And then we're going to slide when we go from November, we're going to go from values to beliefs because they're two different things. They are not the same. Values, beliefs, and opinions are three different things.
Yes.
All three, and they're not
here
the same
for
thing. It. They do get confused frequently. And maybe we can break that down. I don't know if 8 shows for that is enough, really. But we're going to try. We're going to go through 4 about values, and yeah, come back next week so we can start our deep dive into values. Hopefully, we will see many of you tonight.
Yes, 6 o'clock.
It's actually 3D tonight because the Sangdi is joining the 2D crew.
Yes.
For the show.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be amazing. So thank you again, Jessica. I guess I don't have to ask will you be back because hopefully you will.
I live here. I have a cot in the back.
Live here. Yeah, if you guys see the door over there to the other side, that's the door.
My bed's just on the other side.
That's the door to Jessica's room. This is the party space out here. We will see you guys next week to show us more of your nuts.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.